Mr. Tom Landis is our chapel speaker today. He is the founder of Howdy Homemade Ice Cream. It's the first for-profit restaurant that employs only people with special needs. While opening 13 restaurants over the past 2 decades, Tom has led by prioritizing God, family, the other employees, customers, and self. He's received many awards and honors, including the Ryan Albers Lifetime Achievement Award, the Governor of Texas Lex Frieden Award for Best Small Business, and his first franchise won Best Ice Cream in the state of Utah for 2018. I think it's an appropriate time to interject that you'll all receive free ice cream when you leave today. So the coolers are at the doors, and you can pick up a spoon there as well. Tom believes the best way to know business is to know people. The best way to know people is the Bible, and the best way to know the Bible is DTS. He currently has more than 100 people that want a franchise and an exclusive partnership with Dr. Pepper to make and produce Dr. Pepper ice cream. Now, I've had that ice cream, and it is unbelievable. And I don't know that all of the ice creams today are Dr. Pepper. I know they're not, but some might be. So you may get a chance to try that out. And it even gets more ridiculous. Tom and one of his employees are starring in an Amazon Prime documentary. We will be the pilot episode in October, and 26 million people will watch our version of sharing the gospel. And one last craziness. Tom is in the finals for the State Fair of Texas food competition. Amen. Yeah. The results will be in by August 26th, but making it to the finals is huge in and of itself. When I introduce Tom, we'll welcome him, but there's a 2-minute clip we're going to watch before Tom will come up. So let's go ahead and welcome him now. If you would, join me in welcoming
Tom.
Tom, have a seat. I'll take care of this. Hello, everyone. My name is Caleb O'Brien. I am one of the managers at Howdy Homemade. I would like to start with a pop quiz today. I scream, you scream, we all scream for... Ice cream. No. Chapel Bailey, Chapel Joe, what are you teaching them? It's God. We are here about God. Come on. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. But I wanted to show you something today. Right here, I have a key to the shop. I open the shop and close the shop every night. At first, Tom didn't want to give me the keys because he thought I might have late ice cream parties. But I had told him many times, that when the door is closed and the lights are off, I'm not coming back. Apparently, he hasn't caught me yet. But I want to really get serious now. I have a sister who, her name is Connor. She has autism, so she's nonverbal, but she is a big part of the Howdy family, and I hope she will be still. But the interesting thing about her is that she can do a puzzle without even looking at the picture on the box. It's like fascinating. But sometime I wish she could be at Howdy's to help us out, because we teach and help a lot of kids with special needs that don't even have jobs. So I would like to turn it over to Tom Landis, who is not really good with puzzles, but he's a really good talker.
Awesome. Now, real quick, I absolutely believe this, that I am talking to people who are more experienced to go out in the world than someone with a Harvard MBA, because absolutely the best way to know people is to know the Bible. The best way to know the Bible is to be at DTS. I absolutely believe that. And here's a case in point. I am in the middle of trying to open Howdy Homemade. This is a business, and in the meantime, I'm also kind of going to a Bible study, but this is a business, and this is a little Bible study. Well, the Bible study is at a church, and the church goes out of business, and this DTS student, this saint, this awesome guy named Jonah Landclose comes to me, and he was in the Bible study, and he kind of came to me hat in hand, right? Because the church he was at, where he was doing an unpaid internship, went out, and now he needed a job. And the reality was I was pretty stressed out. I had electrical work. I had all sorts of construction work. I needed this stuff done. And he shows up, and I really don't have time for a little seminary student, hey, what are you going to do? Are you going to pray over my electrical stuff? Is that going to really help? These are the things that I'm not just thinking, I'm berating Jonah Landclose with, right? To be honest, I'm a business guy, not this, or trying to be. And all of a sudden, he kind of says, you know what, Carly, to his wife, would you go to the car for a minute? And then he says to me, Tom, I sent my wife to the car for 2 reasons. 1, I didn't want to embarrass you. 2, I've got all the tools in my car to fix your little problems. You see, before I went to DTS, I was an electrician. I am a plumber, and I understand these things from a business standpoint. My hat went into my hands. And Jonah really helped us build Howdy Homemade, and that's the kind of product I love to see out of DTS. Howdy Homemade is built with one really purpose, is to glorify God and go after the elusive inclusive. The elusive inclusive. It is such a hard thing to attain in America, especially if we're honest, on Sunday mornings. And you know what? I struggle so much with whether I'm even a businessman or not. I just don't know. In a lot of ways, I think I'm much more of a fisherman. And see, that's where I just love the Bible, because sometimes in business, we look at things and we're like, man, how does this really relate to business? How does it? Give me an example. Okay, how about Luke 5, right? Here are these guys, and they are fishing all night long, and they don't catch anything. And this ain't like, bopping in a little bathtub with a bobber and hoping maybe you get a little, crappie or whatever. No, this is, you don't fish, or you don't catch fish, your family doesn't eat, you don't survive. This is serious, and they are fishing all night long, and they catch nothing. And then there's this guy on the shore in the morning, and see, they're fishing on this side, right? And there's this guy on the shore in the morning, he says, man, you got it all wrong. Fish on this side. No, but I want to fish on this side. Man, and then I'd sort of apply it and to the restaurant industry, right, which I've been a part of 22 years. And to me, the restaurant industry has been fishing on this side. And on this side, they get to boast the worst turnover rate of any industry. The worst turnover rate in customer service is, for the most part, dead in restaurants. That's what we have. But there's this guy, Jesus, hey, check out, man, I think this book's got something to offer you. Maybe we fish on this side. Whoa, on this side, we've got 240,000 special needs adults in North Texas alone that desperately pray for what you and I take for granted, and that's a job. 240,000 special fish, 240,000 special needs adults, we start pulling them into the boat. And man, customer service goes up. Employee turnover goes down. And that almighty dollar, which on occasion gets placed above the almighty in the business world, man, that almighty dollar gets raised up. And that's what we're doing. And we're doing it so in a way that we hope that the big corporations, all that, can't hide behind any liability, anything else. And we're just going to show them and grow and grow and grow. And I couldn't be more excited about it. In fact, I think it's a little bit of a revolution, right? It is. And I think it's a revolution when lives are at stake. And when we have a revolution, I think we sometimes, you almost need to start off with a song. And I can't think of any better revolutionary song than that one, that we all know. It's Yankee Doodle Dandy, right? And probably there's no one with more faith than the guy that does the flute. Like, honey, kids, guess what? I'm getting ready to go fight England. Oh, you got your gun? Nah, got the flute. Honey. But we know that song, right? We all know it, right? But we don't have time. We want to stay on time. So join me if we'll just go to the last 16 verses, right? The invention did in Boston meet, the State House could not hold 'em. So there we went to Federal Street, and there the truth was told 'em. And every morning went to prayer, and then began disputing, till opposition silenced were with evidence refuting. Now politicians of all sides, whose minds were not decided, could see how Yankees speak their minds and yet are not divided. Now I'll end my federal song, composed of 16 verses. May agriculture flourish long and commerce fill our purses. And then you say, okay, well, what's happening? What's happening with Jesus in terms of the revolution in America? Fast forward or back to the 1960s, right? And now it becomes a harmonica, harmonica, harmonica. Come gather around, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accepted that soon you'll be drenched to the bone, for the times they are. That's not it, man. And if we're really forward, okay, fast forward to now, we're up here in 2018. Like a small boat in the ocean, it gets my backfield in motion. Man, that's ain't it. We got to bring Jesus back into every part of revolution, our songs, our music, everything, our businesses, and even our churches to get us where we go. And part of it is, okay, in the business world, we have to determine, are we going with our economy or God's economy? And man, this is one I struggle with so much, right? Our houses are these beautiful things in this economy, right? It's just going up and up in value. I mean, our houses, my backyard, this is where my kids are. And then that book says, our house is but a tent. Our house is but a tent. And I really took that to heart because like Coach Gene Stallings, man, I love that man. And you know what? I wanted to be able to look him in the eye and look every parent of a child with special needs in the eye and say, you know what? Your child is worth more than my house. So I mortgaged my house, threw everything down, every bit of money to create Howdy. Does that work? Does that make sense in today's economy? I don't know, right? I think it does. I'm convinced of it. That's why I did it. I wanted my actions to speak louder than my words. And it's interesting, like, I'm so thankful to God that I didn't have the grades in college to advance for an MBA or a law degree. Because, see, there's so many interesting things that happen. There are 19,000 employees at Dr. Pepper, right? They have lawyers, and then they have agencies with lawyers and all that, right? And everybody that I invented this Dr. Pepper ice cream. I invented it, it's mine. Well, that's not how it really works. And if you go get an MBA or you go to law school, what are they going to tell you? You're going to get a cease and desist. Well, you know what we had? We had prayer and persist. And our prayer and persist beat their cease and desist. And man, now we are changing lives, and Dr. Pepper has been a phenomenal company. Hats off to them. I couldn't say enough for them. They've kept it alive. But isn't it interesting that before I came, sort of said, hey, I'm going to do this, if you polled 19,000 Dr. Pepper employees and every single one of their lawyers, they would have said, that guy's crazy. It will never happen. I am crazy, but it did still happen. And then it's interesting too, like stop, think about it. Here is a multi-billion-dollar company in Dr. Pepper, and they've entrusted one of their branded products to be put into the hands of people with special needs to produce and sell. That's cool, right? That's change. That's change that we have going on, and I love it. It's interesting sometimes when you think about it. I have an entire country against what I am trying to do. I don't know if you're familiar with Iceland, but they don't have a problem with Down syndrome. They euthanize them. There's zero there. That's fascinating. Do you know where I want to put a Howdy Homemade someday? Iceland, right? It really was a crazy experience, this TV whole experience. The first time I got the email, I deleted it because I was like, that's a joke. And then the director calls back. The director's last film featured a guy named Jimmy Fallon, Lucy Liu, Sharon Stone, Tom Arnold. I heard of those names. And it just was a fascinating experience to be able to go to Canada and to see another country, and also to get a chance to see, wow, Dallas has a lot of banks and churches, and I do not see as many churches in Canada. And that's something I've had some great conversations with some DTS students. David Peters has been fascinating to talk to with that. It's interesting in this battle of inclusion and trying to bring inclusion into every element of what we do. There's a lot of fun that we try and have with ice cream, but I can't tell you how serious this issue is and how weighty it's been on me. This past summer, a dad came in a full trench coat. And it's 105 degrees out, and he's in a full trench coat. And as he brings his son in, and his son is just not ready to be employed yet. We'll get him there. But his son, who is nonverbal and wringing his hands and not making eye contact and really not much able to communicate. And the dad is just pleading with me. Any way you can hire him. Any way you can hire him. And finally, his dad stops and says, "You're wondering why I'm wearing this full-length coat in the middle of summer." And yeah, so I'm kind of curious. So he unzips it, and he's got a chemo port in there. And he says, "I'm stage 4, and I've got no one. I've got no one to look after my son. Would you look after my son?" And people come in every day or call every day, and they say, "Please, I've heard about your place. This is the most awesome thing in the world. Can you hire my son? Can you hire my granddaughter?" I'm like, man, there's a 500-person waiting list. I mean, there's so many. I mean, the reality in our America today, in our congregations today, is it is easier to walk on and be a football player at A&M or UT than it is to be someone with special needs and get a job. I'm amazed at it, and especially because I see that there's sort of 2 giant tables in America. And at one of them are the restaurant owners of the biggest employers sector in the country, in Dallas. There's 56,000 employees in Dallas in the restaurant industry, 6,192 restaurants, and they are all complaining about not finding good help. And at the other table are potential employees with parents and grandparents and job coaches and trainers and all that. And man, they are just chomping at the bit for a chance. And I want to see, like, what's going to do? How do we bring those two together? Especially in a place where we want to take the golden rule into a place where gold rules, right? It's a very, very hard thing to do. And that's why I would want to emphasize above anything else that nothing we're doing here on stage or in Howdy has to do with goosebumps. We want, or fist bumps even. We want sales bumps. This is all about making money. That's part of the initiative that we want to show, is that for all those businesses out there that are, I kind of picture most businesses somewhere in the back, there's a little tiny room with a guy with little round glasses and one of those green banker lamps, and he just has one word, nope. That's all he has to do, nope, 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 unless it makes money, right? And now I look at it, and my restaurant, because of these guys and our employees, not because of me, because of them, we have 5-star reviews on Yelp. We have great customer service. What do the other restaurants have, right? I think we're starting to break down the barriers of, I think in Iceland, it's kind of a simple argument, right? Is, hey, if someone can't really contribute to society, then, are they a part of it, or are they just kind of a burden? Well, our guys, we're contributing. We're not contributing. We're doing more than contributing. We're fixing an economic problem out there. In fact, it's the biggest problem in the restaurant industry that exists currently. It's also interesting, I think, that in the business world, that kind of come to Jesus meeting, you hear people talk, yeah, we took that guy, come to Jesus meeting. I don't think that was anything about the way Jesus wanted to come about. Well, we took him in and we really verbally, told him what, or made him fill out more TPS boards, whatever it was. No, you know what? Where's the love? And I think that's one of the things Howdy really is one of our strengths, and it's something these guys have taught me, and these guys are way more bold than I could ever be. There's a commercial I remember, and there's a guy and a girl, and the girl looks over and she says, I love you. And he looks back at her, and they're in a restaurant, and he looks at her and he says, he can't say the L word. And then the waitress come by and says, would you like another beer? He goes, I'd love one. But these guys and my employees are unafraid to share the love of Jesus and also just the love of themselves. And I think that transforms restaurants, it transforms businesses. I think it transformed the 1992 University of Alabama football team when they won a national championship, and still to this day have held every other team to the lowest amount of yards. I think Coach Stallings' son, Johnny, played an absolutely integral role in that locker room when those guys are down in the fourth quarter in the trenches and they're getting beat, and they think about life and how tough it is, and they think about some of the lessons that Johnny taught them in the locker room. I think that's why they won. And if you don't, you can argue with Coach Stallings. Man, he's a tough old guy. I would like you to join our revolution in really 3 ways. And the first is, you guys are by definition are all leaders, right? You're leading a youth group, you're leading something, you're leading choir, you're leading something. You guys are leaders. You guys are in this room. I don't know if I'm going to get an opportunity, a chance to speak to more leaders than you guys. And when we have a chance to talk to leaders, we like to say, okay, where are you going to bring in someone with special needs to work at your place? And then here's how we'd like to help you do that. Ask your employees what is the least favorite part of their job. The common denominator to every one of those answers is going to be this: repetition. We don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. People with special needs love to do the same thing over and over and over again. It's fascinating. A small example is a UPS store that's has 10 employees. 10% of each employee's job is to sort the mail, right? 4333, 3343, 3333, 4430. What? I can't do that, right? That's something people don't like. So what do? They hire someone on the autism spectrum. Guess what? He takes 10% of 10 people's jobs, creates 100% of a job for himself. He does the sorting in the mail, and man, that's cool. At hospitals, nurses are getting paid $45 an hour. They should be getting paid way more because they're really doing the doctor's work. But part of what the work they're doing, and it's true, Part of their job at $45 an hour for graduate work that they've already done is to sterilize cots. That doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form. We find someone with special needs, they get to hire them for $10 an hour. They're sterilizing the cots. The morale of the nurses goes up, and they're saving $35 an hour times 8 hours a day times however many employees that is times 365. I'm not good at math, but that's a lot of money, right? And it makes sense, and it starts to bring more people in. So the first one is talk to the leaders, talk to the managers, and maybe even talk to yourself of, hey, is there somewhere in your business, your organization, your structure, your church, where there's a repetitious job that, man, someone with special needs can do, and it'll be a blessing for you way more. You know, the second one is, is that I kind of don't care whether you're in an old group, a youth group, a soup group, or a poop group. Include people. I mean, our inclusion into it. Sometimes it's, well, yeah, we've got a special needs group for this or that. Man, how do we bring them all in? How do we truly bring them in? You know, I think God created the very best greeters in the world to have special needs. Do you want your church? Do you want that? Do you want that to be the first thing that your congregation sees? Are you looking for a youth group to build up based on the coolest quarterback? Or who do you want? Who are you including? These are kind of tough things, but I see it out there, and that, you know what? I mean, we look at it too, is what are we looking at in our congregation? 30 years ago, I'm not sure where autism was on the spectrum of understanding or knowledge, but today, 1 in 59 babies in America will be born on the autism spectrum. Factor in all the others, and what's your church going to look like in 10 or 20 years? And how are you adapting to it? These are just fascinating things. A guy I know with autism, you know what? He shows no emotion except if you talk about Jesus on the cross and then he cries. I don't know how many people I've ever seen truly cry about Jesus on the cross. I'd also say this, that you look at some things, like a billboard shows this beautiful, healthy baby, right? And it says, proof of God. And you start to look at that like, okay, if that's proof of God, then what happens about the baby that's born that isn't beautiful or perfect? These are fascinating, amazing lenses that you start to look at, and it changes your perspective on things. All ministry comes at a price. All ministry comes at a price. I think I've kind of come to this conclusion that I feel like I'm doing what God's called me to when I truly hate it sometimes. When I ask my kids, okay, let's have a who hates Howdy night, and my kids raise their hands because they see how tired I am, how I'm not really treating my wife so great because I'm worn out, I'm stressed, I'm broke, I'm just at my wit's end. I can't tell you the mental pressure that it's put on me. I was never prepared for it. I know God's going to carry it through, but and I wish my journey was a lot easier, but I don't think it is. And in all of our journeys, things will get tough. We all know that. Maybe some of you guys are there now. I would arguably say that I'm there right now. And one of the things that I love is being able to use the resources of Dallas Theological Seminary counselors. Man, the greatest people in the world. I really, for everybody going into counseling, God bless you. I'll see you on the couch. I love also that when people are in trouble, that according to the Bible or the web right now, they're going to the web and they're going to the Bible. And the most downloaded verse right now says this: let us rejoice in the Lord always. I'm going to say it again. Rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to all. The Lord is near. Let us be anxious in nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, may we present our requests to God. And the peace of God, which understands all of our understanding, will guard our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And finally, my brothers, whatever is righteous, whatever is noble, whatever is pure, whatever is beautiful, let us focus on such things. And all God's people said,